Hello, fellow crafting clouders. Welcome back to my channel. And in this episode, we're going to cover a simple example on how you can automate in Method CRM. Let's go. All right, so we just finished adding our services to this potential deal with Lululemon. And now you'll notice that I have all of my amounts here, 500, 440, 180. Now my amount up top is still zero. Now I can go in and I can add this up manually, blah, 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 but you know how tedious that is. So instead, I want this to be done automatically for me. So how do I go about doing that? Well, let's go ahead and let's build it in our action editor. I'm going to click the down arrow beside potential deals, click customize screen. And let's actually go to our save button right here. Actually, no, before we even go to our save button, let's actually add a button to our hidden section right here where it says section hidden. I'm going to highlight the button and I'm going to call this FNC for function, lowercase. Then uppercase, I'm going to say calculate amount, right? Now, the reason why I created a button is because I want to have all of my logic or the automation to be just in one hidden control on screen that I can refer to from anywhere in the screen. Okay, so I'm going to go and click this down arrow within this button, click, and voila, we're in our action editor. This is the mecca of method right here. This is where all the magic happens. You can see on the right, I have a fantastic catalog of all different things you can do. You can go to screen, you can go to web page, you can loop through a grid, you can do a bunch of table functions. So let's go ahead and let's build our logic. So what I want to do is I actually want to go ahead and choose the loop through grid option. Okay. Now, the reason why I choose loop through grid is because we have a grid on screen. We haven't saved it yet. So I don't want to use the other option here, which is called loop through table. Because loop through table implies that it's already in the table, which means it's been saved. But in this scenario, we're only going to look at the line items that haven't been saved yet, okay? Or all the line items. And some of them haven't been saved because we may just potentially just enter a service and we want to save our potential deal and see that new service that we added basically rolled up to our amount up top, okay? Let's go and hit loop through grid. Let's select our grid of potential services. Now in here, you'll see this only select rows that are checked. This is if you want to go ahead and select the particular services that you want to have summed up. But in this case, we want all of our services summed up. So I don't need to check this, okay? I'm gonna call loop through potential services. All right. And before we get into our grid, I want to also create a variable. Now, this is called assign value to action result. Action result in method terms is a variable. So it's a container where you can put a value in, whatever value you want. So the value that I want, I'm going to actually call it result amount. Okay, so that's going to be my variable. And basically what I'm doing is I'm setting my amount to 0 because we want to be able to add all of our amounts and put it into this variable. So I'm going to say set result amount 0. Okay. Now within my grid, I want to click this add action below button. It's going to reopen the catalog and the function I'm going to look for is math. So choose a math function. And all we're going to do, you'll notice it says select the function add. We want to keep it at this. There's a bunch of other ones, subtract, multiply, divide, yada, yada. We don't need all of this. We just need add, okay? Now within here, you'll notice now a bunch of loop values show up here. And that's because we're within our loop through grid. If I take this out of the loop through grid, okay. Let me just go back in here and I open this. Oh, where did our loop go? It disappeared. See, it's not there anymore. So you want to have this inside of your loop, and this works for loop through table as well. So you want to have this inside your loop. And if I re-enter this now and I open this, voila, we have our loop items that reappear again. Okay. Now, The one I want is amount. So I'm going to choose loop amounts, and I'm going to add this to our variable that we just created, okay? And then I'm going to store it right back into that variable, okay? I don't need to create a new one, okay? What it's doing is it's taking that new variable of 0, and it's going through the grid, all of our services, it's taking that first amount, let's say $500, and it's putting it in that variable, okay? So now 0 plus 500 equals 500, okay? And that's what we're storing it back as. The next amount could be $100. It's now seeing 500 that's in this result amount variable. It's going to see that loop amount of $100, and it's going to add that $100 to our variable of $500 to give us $600, which is going to go back into that result amount. So I'm actually going to just say add potential service amounts as my comment here, okay? And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to do update controls on screen, okay? So the control that I want to update on screen is right here. So we want to update the amount field. So that was that amount field that I showed you at the beginning of this video that was in our header of the potential deal. And we're going to update it with our result amount. So we're going to say update the amount on screen, okay? And now we're going to click close. Now we've created our function. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to call that function. So if I go to our save and back button, you'll notice that it has a save button here, okay? A save all action here. You'll also notice that it has that same save all action here. What I want to do actually to make this a little bit better, I want to actually remove this save all, and this is just best practice. I'm going to say call routine. Okay, so that's going to call now the other button. So what this does is this call routine is it's going to look at all the different action editor functions that we've created on screen, and it's going to pull them in here. Okay, and the one that we want to call is actually that save button that we were just in. Okay, and we're going to call that. The reason why is because if we ever want to update our save function, we don't want to update it in multiple areas on screen. We only want to update it in one area. So the area that we want to only update it on is this button right here, which I've just basically told it to call. And it's essentially doing the exact same thing. It's saving the screen. So let's go into our save button now. And let's go back and let's use that call routine function again. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that function that we created, calculate amount, okay? And I'm going to put in here call, and I'm just going to say calculate amount. And I'm going to move this above of the save all. Now, this is critical. Why did I move this above the save all? Because if we go back to our other function, let me actually just go back this way. Okay. There's a big reason why we did that. Okay. I'm having trouble getting to this. So we looped through, we reset the amount. Okay. Then we looped through the grid. We added the amounts. Then we're updating the control on screen. We're not updating the table. We're just updating that field on screen. It hasn't been saved yet. Now, we could have done an update on table, but that's not necessary because we're going to save the screen right after. That save is going to take whatever we've updated, the controls that we've updated on the screen. It's going to save those values and put them in the backend in that table. And that's exactly what we want, okay? So we don't need an update field in table action, which is this. This is a completely different action. We don't need this because this is an implied save. But we don't want to imply a save here. We just want to populate the value on screen and have the save all action that was in that other button, okay, take care of actually taking those values and putting it in the tables. Okay, so let me remove the save all. I just pulled that up just to show you guys what action I was talking about. Okay, so now just to review, going back to our save button, we have it before the save all. Order of operations is critical when you're building stuff properly. So we're now saying take that amount that we just calculated and store it in the table with this save all, so that the next time we pull up this potential deal, we'll see that amount that was calculated there. Let's test this out. Say close. Okay, we have our amount of 0. Let's hit save. Boom! Right there, you got your amount right there. And just one last thing that we can do, just to, put a bow on it. Let's go back into our customized screen. Let's click our amount field that we just populated. You'll see load state here. There's regular, disabled, and hidden. Let's choose disabled here. What this is going to do is it's going to prevent anyone who's on the screen to be able to edit this, okay? Now you'll notice my function calculate amount is showing here. Let's go ahead and hide that. So section hidden, I should set this load state of this section to hidden, just like the name says. Okay, let's hit close. And there we have it. Okay, this is our amount. Hope this helped, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Till the next one. That's a wrap on episode 4, the conclusion on how to build a custom map in Method CRM. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was insightful. I hope you learned a lot. If you did, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe down below. It really means a lot to me. If you have any comments, any feedback for me, please leave some suggestions down below. I really want to make this the best learning experience for all of my fellow crafting clouders. And in next week's episode, we're actually going to get into Salesforce and the fundamentals of Salesforce. And boy, am I excited. I'm excited to take you guys with me along the ride. So stay tuned to next week. Till next time. Peace.